Hey everybody, and welcome to the weekly Unreal Engine Twitch live stream. I'm Chance Ivy, Community Manager. I'm here with Engine Support Tech Alexander Pascal.
So,
welcome back, Alexander.
good to be back.
Today we've got Jesse Rapczak from Studio Wildcard team. They've just released ARK Survival Evolved on Steam Early Access. Jesse will be joining us on the couch here via a Skype window. It'll be wonderful. You've all seen this before. Hopefully we don't run into any issues this time. Normally we do all right, but so sorry about the lack of 1080p. We're still, oh, he's here, yay! Woo,
we got the floating head, yay.
All right. It's funny because he's actually on a black couch, and it's like he's just a gigantic head and shoulders just hanging out with us. I love it.
Like the Cheshire Cat.
Dang straight.
I like that.
All right, so before we get started and hop into the meat of their launch and the development of ARK and some of the features and how it's gone, we'll take a look at the news. So if we could hop over to the monitor.
Now I'm going to start tossing links up into the chat.
Okay. Did you lose the computer? Oh no. Woo! All right, we're going to hang on a second. Alex is going to dance for us.
I am not a good dancer. This is apparent.
It might be. We might have to. No, we didn't change a thing. Whoa. Hooray, technology.
I blame Monkey.
It's all right.
There we go. Hang on.
Oh, we're good. So a monitor snuck away from us for a little while, but Shelly got her lasso and rolled it back in.
They're sentient these days, you know.
All right. Thanks, Shelly. First up, we got Marketplace release this week. It's got some material and FX packs from Super Genius. That's a pretty good looking lightning. Next up, we got Pyro Particle Pack by Poly Splendor. That is a lot of P's.
They're all about alliteration.
Dun, dun, dun. Realistic Atmosphere by Robert Kalikov. Use Nature Materials by Use. That's another pack from that seller. That's quite a bit of assets there. And then on Blueprints, we've got Enemy Targeting System by Mailgrim Studios. Great Menu Front-End Controller by Murain. Spheroid Camera by RapidFire.net. And then on to Weapons and Props. Everyone needs a good crowbar and a baseball bat and a monkey wrench, I see.
Oh, and those bloody too. They have like bloody versions.
Oh, well, do we get a used price on them then? Clearly. Anyway, Melee Weapon Pack by Carl Detroit. And on to audio, we got Post-Apocalypse Guns by Sound Earth. Hand-to-hand combat SFX. This graphic says it all.
Yeah, it's going to be all those kung fu sound effects you love from old movies.
Bone snapping and crunches, face hits. Anyway, so this week's packs are now available for you to buy through the marketplace. So if you have an open launcher, go ahead and do that and check them out. Continuing on Marketplace, we have got a sale that's going on for a couple more days. And it's 3 items. There's a assault rifle pack by Polypixel. I see a couple AKs in there and a SCAR and an M16. Everybody's into guns, so you should go get them. And then advanced turn-based tile toolkit by Nut Overbite, 30% off. That looks pretty rad. I'm actually working on a hex-based game. It's such a wonderful space. Like
Yeah, when you're working in Hex.
Yes.
Yeah, I love working in that too.
It's so much fun.
Gives you a lot more variety.
Love it. And then environment loops and one-shots. This is actually a really diverse pack that's got a lot of really good assets in it too. For 47, a nice round number. 47% off for you to check out. So that's going on until the 7th. Feel free to pick any of that up as well through the launcher. And if you missed the news about our latest Unreal Dev Grant recipient, The Artful Escape of Francis Vendetti, there is a release up on our website right now. They were awarded $17,000. The company's Beethoven and Dinosaur out of Australia. And it's basically, where is it written in here about, the idea is if Bowie were to travel through the universe to become Ziggy Stardust. Anyway, it's a fantastic artsy game. It's kind of like Kentucky Route Zero meets Wes Anderson, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really pretty. You definitely want to check out that video. It's a lot of walking to the right and gorgeous visuals.
Yeah, definitely. Very flat, almost paper-like feel to it.
Yeah, it's got that paper with Mario almost.
Yeah,
feel.
they use lighting really well for 2D. I just absolutely love it. So definitely check that out. The Artful Escape of Francis Vendetti. And a blog came up from our Japan studio, written by Historia Incorporated over there. It's called Dungeon and Burglar. It's a a mobile game that was released, created by one artist in 1 month from their company, using marketplace assets and blueprints only. So it's available for free. You can download it and check it out. They talk a little bit about the experience here. It's just a cute little mobile game for you to check out. So cool stuff out of Japan. And look at all those Japanese characters. I wish I could read that. Anyway. All right. And now on to our community spotlight. So, normally I tell everybody that we pull these from the forums or from Twitter or Facebook. A lot of these actually came through people internally at Epic that found videos from students or other people that they knew. So I don't have links except for one back to our forums. So, hey, if you can get our attention, go for it any other way too. Let me pull up, let's see. So this is L'Atelier.
I'm going to start with that.
By William Oostrom. So this is a student, this is actually a student that we know. This is somebody who went to school with him. He's still pretty young, but an extremely diverse set of skills in this scene. I mean, it's not just architecture or lighting. It's reflections in water and other environment effects, everything all together.
Yeah, it's really a relaxing video to watch. It gives you that very peaceful sense of, I should be here relaxing,
Yeah, if you try hard enough. Maybe if we had VR, we could hop in. I really like you see some wine glasses here in a second. I really like the way they looked. They came out really well. Is that audio I hear, Shelley?
I'm not singing.
I can hear something.
Oh, it's very faint. Oh well. Look at them clothespins. Anyway, I'm going to hop on ahead here just for time's sake. It's a little bit longer of a video. But where was
I love that couch. I just
Yeah,
fear
that's
that
good.
being outside it would get soaked pretty soon in one shower.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the the cleanest couch, but it'll do.
It's a very nice scene.
Anyway, so it's a wonderful project by William Oostrom. We'll be posting the video afterwards too, so you can check out his channel and follow other work that he's done as well.
Got that up in chat now.
And then next up we've got, I guess I knocked this one closed earlier.
Oops.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of audio through, which is okay. I'm going to try to skip ahead on, yep, here we go. So this is students from the University of Hertfordshire made this video called Embedded.
Now I have audio.
Now you have one. Reminds me of the Uncharted opening that Embedded kind of fade in. I know. Most people don't know this, but I love grandfather clocks. Things are moving on their own. A full day-night cycle.
Yeah, it's got a really beautiful time-lapse thing going on. It's that kind of sad, things are getting worse.
Yeah, boarded up over time. The music really helps the aesthetic as well.
Now, when I first saw this, I thought it was sad that they're shutting down a museum, and then I realized, no, it's actually kind of different than what I assumed.
They're shutting in a museum.
Yeah.
Piano begging to be played. A bust of Napoleon Bonaparte.
Some really great,
This right here. This it's just so wonderful. I love this part of the video specifically.
It kind of has a Last of Us feel to it.
Or even The Walking Dead on
the
iPad version from Telltale.
Yeah, those Telltale games. I'm so fascinated by those creatures
Not
too.
creepy at all. Yep.
They're so different than what I'm used to seeing.
And we're all dead. I certainly feel better about my life. Anyway, so again, we'll be posting that video a bit later as well. So awesome work out of the University of Hertfordshire. And then I've got one more in here from somebody you probably know. This is a little interesting how it came to be, but so Michael Aller, engine contributor, he does a lot of live streaming. He put together, he went through and hacked some of our code to make it do something really interesting. He was working with a 360 pano output that is in the source code. He exposed it to blueprints so he could set up a matinee track, hook it up to TIC, and just output a whole bunch of stills and then stitch them back together into one video. So
It's very fascinating.
yeah, this is live in a browser. Chrome actually wants this format specifically, so I can play a video. Imagine you're doing a fly through your game, but then the viewer can actually drag around and see different aspects of it. So it's not just shot from one angle. You're actually giving them the ability to experience it their own.
Yeah,
pace.
it's so cool. When I first played this, I was on a mobile device. I didn't realize that it was based off of tilt, and so I'm like, nothing's really doing anything. And then I moved the phone slightly, and I just shocked. It went
Yeah, this is
everywhere.
on your Android device?
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's Note 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just awesome. And I know Aller's probably thrilled because he's been wanting to get a little feature time.
Oh yeah. Well, no. What I like about this is if somebody's working on a specific scene, that's got lighting and reflection, they want to show it off in a way that isn't just showing a video or dropping a whole project on the forums. You can do this. You can record it out this way, and then actually, we can navigate the space a little bit and take a look from different perspectives. Now, one big caveat with this is that it only works in Chrome this way. If I were to open this in, say, IE or Safari or Firefox, it doesn't quite stitch back together correctly. But we've got Aller's thread where you can go actually set it up yourself with the big disclaimer: the current implementation will eat your RAM and your dog. So if you're a fan of your animals and your random access memory, you might not want to take this approach. It's highly unoptimized, but really, really, really cool that it was just kind of a hack together. This is not a clean and user-friendly way to do it, but it works. And it's available on GitHub, so you can pull that down and check it out. So thanks a lot, Aller. Really, really great work there.
Super impressive.
All right. And so I guess at this point, while we're all here.
Lost Jesse.
Oh, we lost Jesse. Oh, no. Let me see if I can poke him on the Skypes and get him back on. We lost you. This is my favorite part of the live stream, is that live.
The live
the
aspect.
live part. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good.
It's always interesting when something fails.
Shelly didn't do it. It's okay. We'll see if we can get him back on here. But yeah, ARK is it launched on Tuesday, I believe, on the 2nd, and they've had a really great early access campaign so far. It's I've seen it. If you go to Steam stats, you can check out exactly what how many players are playing it currently. They were like number 11, like on the list of all Steam games yesterday.
Like that
at some point.
fast? My goodness.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
Good
grab
for
it real
them.
quick.
Yep. I guess as long as we have a second waiting there, Aller also has a really fantastic marketplace pack that he's about to.
Oh snap!
Yeah,
It's pending.
It's one of those pending but coming soon now.
Great.
Yeah, it's looking
No.
really cool. It's a FPS like all-in-one game. Looking
nice.
cool. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Oh yeah, he's been streaming a lot of the development
he
of it. He's got
has.
a lot of videos out there.
That's always interesting when we get
Oh,
to
wait.
watch someone developing something like in real time.
Is he back?
Yeah.
Woo! He's back.
Yeah, we got him.
Yay.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we're
We can
good
hear
now.
you.
Sorry about that. What happened?
Dropped for some reason.
Oh, no worries. All right, we're good. So we're just getting started. We're talking about Studio Wildcard, ARK. You guys launched early access this week. The game's been announced for a few months now, and you're just kind of off to the races as far as perception or reception has been. So tell us a little bit about Wildcard and about Jesse and about ARK. Just a quick packaged up summary.
Yeah, well, Wildcard is comprised of a lot of people that have been developing on Unreal for a long time, and so for us it was kind of like getting to the point in our careers where it was time to kind of band back together. We've all kind of worked together in the past and make a game that we were really passionate about. And for me at the time, I was at Microsoft working on HoloLens, so it was kind of a hard decision for me to pull away from that project. That's such a cool project, and I had been there for 3 years, but I just knew around the middle of last year that I kind of wanted to get back to game development. And so around November, I kind of made the final decision that I was going to leave Microsoft and start up Wildcard with some of my buddies, and we've been developing ARK ever since. I started around November, December time frame. Actually, initial prototyping was on Unreal 3, and we quickly realized we wouldn't be able to accomplish what we wanted to with ARK with that, and that's when we kind of switched over to Unreal 4. So.
That's great. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned being over at Microsoft and Ray Davis, who's on the stream regularly. You know him well from those days as well. So.
Yes, we worked together on the same projects.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, and we've actually had Deke on here before too. Like we mentioned, we don't want him. We can't have him around very often because the ladies go wild. But
Can't have too much Deke. You
yeah,
gotta
we
be careful.
we gotta use it sparingly. We gotta be conservative about our Deke time. Well, no, that's cool. So we've got the actual video for the, as it's your early access, announced video that we've got. Shelly, can we go ahead and toss that up? We'll go through it real quick and throw some comments at it, but it's really exciting. Yeah, here we go. Run into the forest. So, what exactly is ARK?
As a game concept, you mean?
Yeah.
So for us, we really loved survival games like Rust and DayZ and everything. And the big thing that we liked about them, we realized, was this mechanic of surviving, right? But for us, we wanted to create something that was deeper, that the survival was actually part of the gameplay. It wasn't sort of the end goal.
Gotcha.
And so in ARK, surviving is just kind of scratching the surface. There's a lot you can do in ARK. In early access, there's so much content. I mean, people have been playing the game since before we launched, and they still haven't made it through, I would even say 50% of the content that's in the game. And so there is a lot of content here, and we are really excited about the adventures people can have in ARK. We've tried to also inject a little bit of humor in the game. If you want to be on a server where everything's very serious, you could set some flags to disable some of our stuff, but we've got fun items. We've obviously got sort of a wacky prototype kind of character customization system. We didn't really try to rat hole on how to make the most awesome character customization system, but I just saw a video today of like the top 10 characters in ARK, and they were all hilarious. And as an artist, I was originally against this bone scaling system entirely for character customization, but I do have to say it's been absolutely mind-blowingly funny to see what people have come up with for their characters in ARK, and now I'm like, well, this is what people want to do. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, yeah, you're putting people into a world that, like, you've already got creatures that may or may not exist. I mean, so why not make human creatures that are a little bit questionable as well, right?
Exactly.
And so why dinosaurs then? I mean, it's all.
Man,
I think there's
why not dinosaurs.
Yeah,
we sat down and we're like, what is the game we would want to make from our childhood? And we just put everything in there. We've got sci-fi, dinosaurs, like all sorts of crazy stuff happening in the game. And I mean, you can look at it from a high level and be like, what is going on here? But we actually do have sort of a plan around all this stuff, and we're really happy. We know people love dinosaurs. We love dinosaurs. We wanted them to be a key part of the game. We didn't implement vehicles or anything because the dinosaurs are the vehicles.
Oh, wow, yeah, saddle, look at that.
Yeah,
we really wanted to make it so the dinosaur. There's a lot of physics going on here. You can multiple players can stack on top of a dinosaur on a server and go for a ride on it. Our ragdoll system. There's a little some wonky bugs in it right now, but it's actually really cool. Dinosaurs can climb on top of each other. People can climb on top of dinos. The IK system is pretty good. It's done a lot of work to try to make the creatures and the characters kind of stick right in the world, because our terrain is so uneven. This isn't like a typical game where you're like, oh, let's take some set pieces and make a nicely flat gameplay area. I mean, we really exported stuff to World Machine, brought it back into the editor, did a lot of sculpting on stuff. Like, there's almost no flat areas in the game. So like the IK and the physics and everything is like really important to keeping things grounded.
No, that's great.
Oh yeah, the upgrade to Dragon right there.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So yeah, you talk about using World Machine with UE4. Yeah, so great video. Play ARK. Yeah, so available now on Steam. Early access. That was my outro call to action from your video. Now, so you talk about World Machine and bringing that into UE4. I mean, you guys have built. You said you started development on this in November, and here we are. It's not even a year. It's about half a year later, right? With where we are. I mean, that's staggering. That's staggering. I guess progress over the last half year. I mean, how big is your team?
So in total, we have about 40 people working on the project.
Okay.
So we're not necessarily a small team. Everybody's pretty experienced, in what we do. I think we make a lot of smart decisions. We try not to rat hole on things that we know from previous projects are going to take a lot of time and resources to get right. So I would say our typical development methodology is get it in enough so that it helps gameplay and looks decent, and then throughout early access, maybe we'll tweak some of those systems. The character customization system was an example of that. It's like, well, the fastest thing we can do to give people the gameplay goals of having a lot of character varieties just to implement some bone scaling, and we got that in there, and we're like, okay, that's good. And we get some feedback from the community and see maybe as we go if we want to do something more involved with that. But that's just an example of a system from me working on all the games I worked on. Like I worked on DC Universe at Sony Online. It's an MMO. Man, we had such a complex character customization system. I think it was always in development. It just ate up so much time, and we looked at our team and we're like, we just don't have time to do that. We need to make the decisions that are important to get this game playable. By June, Jurassic World's coming out. Like dinosaurs are going to be huge. We got a big opportunity to like be the first and best kind of like survival dinosaur MMO RPG, which is really kind of what this is. And we wanted to make sure we hit that goal, and we just designed all of our product development around that.
Oh, that's
cool.
awesome. You say like Rust, MMO RPG. So these are like persistent worlds as you come online. You basically join up on a server and you live in that server and you die on that server. I mean,
that's true. But so what we've tried to do is innovate a little bit in that, and we realize players may not want to stick with one server, and so in our game, a little spoiler, if you actually get to some of the obelisks in our game, you can upload your character from an official server and then download that character on another server. And so we wanted to give people the ability to say, hey, I'm really happy with my character, but this server is gone to heck. I don't want to play on this server anymore. I don't want to lose my progress though, so I'm going to upload my character off this ARK and I'm going to find a new one. And so that's like just an example of kind of one of the little things we wanted to put in there to give people a little more flexibility and not be kind of locked into to putting a lot of time into one server and feeling like you have to start over if you go to another one.
Definitely, I've run into that in the past before, where it's like, I'm just it either the guild or whatever I was involved in kind of dissipated, and I had to just go either try to figure it out on the server that's kind of falling apart, or try to start over. And man, that's a tough decision as a gamer, because you might have thousands of hours dedicated to your character and the ecosystem that you've kind of ushered in, right? So that's cool.
And the great thing is, like with Steamworks, and of course on console with their various hooks into the player profile, we're able to do stuff like this. We don't have to save all of your character data on one server. We split off certain things into your Steam profile right now, for example, and so your progression and stuff like that kind of can go with you. It's not just achievements or things like that at the game level. It's actually in-game stuff that can be carried with you in your Steam profile.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, wow.
No, so you talk about the ARK itself. So what is the ARK? Can you tell us a little bit about like the story? Like, why are we on this dinosaur world?
Yeah,
well, I don't want to tell you why, because it's such a part of our game to discover why you're here. What is this thing on your arm? Why are there obelisks? What is all these strange things you need at the obelisk to maybe summon this thing? Like, what's going on? So there's a lot there. A big part of the game for us is just watching people. I mean, in this day and age, it's amazing to me. Like, we're on Twitch right now. Our development team just sits there and watches people play. Sometimes we find bugs that way. We find assumptions people make about the game that we didn't necessarily think of. It's like having nonstop focus testing on your game, and it's really amazing. And so we get a lot out of that, and it's fun to see people discover the story and share things. We had our first T-Rex tamed yesterday.
Nice.
I think it takes it took them about 5 hours to tame it.
Wow.
It's legitimately on an official server the first tamed T-Rex, so those people are pretty happy. They can ride it around and cause some havoc.
That's great.
Yeah, that was like the first question that popped into chat is, can I tame a T-Rex? Oh yeah, that's good.
There's almost nothing in the game that you can't tame.
If I could ride a dodo, I'm sold.
Wait,
Dodos you can't ride a dodo, but you can tame it for other reasons.
Can I tame Alec?
Can we tame another player? Can I like get on? Can he get on my shoulders?
Sort of. You can knock a player out, drag him into a closet, and keep him as a pet if you want.
I want to be able to knock a player out and sit on his shoulders so when he stands up, I ride him.
This is the brutal game that I've always wanted.
It's kind of funny too because you can force feed people to keep them alive, and there's no way to really suicide except eating your own feces. And so, as somebody who has been captured, I'm serious about that, by the way. As somebody who has been captured and held prisoner on that server, you really have no way to escape unless you can find some way to die and get away from that closet.
Oh wow!
It's like the idea of someone coming up and like, eat this dodo egg.
You're like,
Exactly.
oh man, so you talk about watching people discover it all. Your early access seems to be going really well. You got a lot of players in there, a lot of servers spinning up, and I wanted to ask, like, why did y'all choose early access? And what was the lead up to that launch looking like? I mean, there's a lot of game developers I talk to pretty much every day that are working on a game and they're trying to plan out what launch looks like for them, or at least early launch, whether they're going to try to do green light, whether they're trying to get early access, or even go through some crowdfunding and Kickstarter. What made you make some of the decisions you made, and yeah, and how did that go about?
Well, I think speaking for me personally, I mentioned earlier I was on HoloLens, and that's a very secretive project. My wife didn't even know what I was working on for that entire time I was at Microsoft until we announced it. And, for us, we see early access as a way to get a relatively complete game out there that we can start getting feedback on, iterating on, tweaking. As you've probably noticed, a lot of people are worried about performance, but that's actually one of our goals for early access, was to get the game out there and then start working on performance right away. We're working on performance now. We didn't spend much time optimizing for lower end graphics hardware because we knew that would take away from the resources of our team for developing the core game. And so these are all conscious decisions we made for early access, because we also know that we're wanting to ship a really solid final game next year on both Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and on PC. And a lot of what we learn over early access about the type of game we've created and where players go with it, we're going to implement that stuff into the final shipping game in the beginning of next year, up through our final alpha and beta periods. So
there's a guy punching a tree right now.
Classic survival technique.
Yeah, it's great. So it looks like
it does hurt you when you punch a tree, so don't punch too many trees. You'll actually make yourself pass out.
I see some
That's
people
cool.
with gigantic arms in the B-roll we're watching right now.
Yes.
Wow.
The artist in me cringes, but the fun-loving person in me just laughs every time I see this stuff.
And does it has voice chat as well, or?
Oh yeah, it's really great actually. Being in the game and just being able to talk, we implemented a rudimentary mouth movement when you're talking, and it actually feels pretty good. It's again one of those things. It's like, let's put this in there. We think we can do a pretty good job with it, and let's see if it works. And we'll probably tweak it and make it better over early access, but the fundamentals are there. So.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm watching this guy punch a tree, and we talk about the guys with the crazy arms and different.
Do you even lift, bro?
Yeah. You've been live for, I guess, almost about 48 hours or so now, I guess.
Yeah,
right
coming up on it. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the craziest thing that's happened so far? Like,
there's not even a craziest. I mean, there's so many crazy things. I was watching the shout out to the serious gaming duo there on Twitch. They've been playing the game a lot, and they've got a really nice base set up near a waterfall in the map, and they spent all this time to make this really awesome base, really high wooden walls. They tamed a lot of dinosaurs. All this stuff's like really built up. I don't know if they didn't realize or maybe didn't anticipate that we have parachutes in the game. And so they got raided by parachute from above, and these people just jumped into the base and killed all their dinosaurs. And they couldn't get out because they were locked in somebody's base with 3-story high walls, and they all got killed. But they just slaughtered their whole herd. It was pretty hilarious to watch, and it's like, well, you got to be careful.
Yeah, this is going to be one that we're going to see on Twitch for quite some time.
Yeah, this is
I'm
just
sure.
the start of things. You can tell. Yeah.
And there's people haven't even gone to some areas. There's a whole world underwater. There's caves. There's people are starting to make it into the caves, but there's not only is there adventure anywhere, but there's opportunity for comedy and crazy moments everywhere, and we really love that about the game. Like it's just nonstop. The stuff people are putting on YouTube, and it's so funny. I love participating in the streamers streams and trying to see what they're up to, because there's always something funny or crazy going on. Or I was in the NVIDIA stream last night, and one of the teams was making a dinosaur sanctuary near a waterfall, and they built this up around a lake with walls. They had a bunch of dinos tamed, just hanging out. It was like, it felt so peaceful. Like, wow, this is a really cool area.
Yeah, you just want to go in and just be there, right? It's
Well, I want to go in with the
Yeah,
pterodactyls and parachute in and
Oh,
wreck
yeah?
the place. That's me, and I'm that guy.
Well, also, even as a developer on the game, the island is so huge that I'm always seeing stuff that I've never seen before, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so a lot of the audience right now is game developers that are working with some of our larger world features. How big is your world, if you don't mind me asking?
So we maxed out a single tile. We didn't use world composition to offset the location. So we are about, I think we upped it a little bit, the max. We're about 7 kilometers by 7 kilometers
Okay.
right now. And it's pretty big already. With right now a max of 70 players on a server. Our servers do a lot of processing. We've gotten some feedback, from the hosting community that our servers require a lot of resources, and we will be able to optimize that over time. But we do all of our processing on the server. We've spent a lot of time to make sure our game is server authoritative and not hackable. And so all of these things kind of led to us saying, all right, well, we don't really want to deal with anything larger than just one tile, really, of data set. So we kind of went with that. We have one height map that's for the entire terrain. So for us, it's been the easiest path, and we'll see later if people want more, but I don't know if they will. I mean, it's taken them so long to just kind of explore things. It's been pretty interesting to see how big 7 kilometers by 7 kilometers really feels in the game world.
Cool. Yeah, I know. It's really crazy whenever you first start a map in Unreal and you just sprawl it out as big as you can make it. And you're like, oh, it's not that big. And then when you start actually sculpting and then walking it, you're like, this is, I got a lot of work to do.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very true. And we just, process-wise, in case anyone is interested on how you make a world like this, we divided it up into a grid. We've got kind of 5 by 5 sub-levels in world composition. We've, got a set of far levels where we keep stuff always loaded that we never really want to stream out, stuff that's really important for silhouettes on the terrain, trees, things like that. And then we've got near levels that stream in when you get into each kind of region. Based on your system settings, maybe you can have more of those near levels streamed in or not. But that's really helped us workflow-wise, because it allows many designers to work on the different levels at the same time. The only issue we still have, and I don't know if there might be a long-term solution to this, but it is really challenging on a project like this using just one tile, one landscape for any number of people to work
Right.
together. We do a lot of exporting a height map, merging it in Photoshop, but we really do have to pass the map around for layer painting, kind of take turns and call it out. Hey, I got it next. I need it for about 2 hours, and people go in there, paint some terrain or landscape layers, and then kind of check it back in. So
Cool. So real quick, Alexander's actually going to be dropping a few ARK codes for early access into the stream.
Awesome.
Yeah,
What?
Tracy and Jesse were kind enough to send those out to us. So first come, first serve. We'll just be randomly dropping them in the chat. So definitely keep an eye out there. So thank you guys.
First one going down now.
And it's out. What? I don't know.
Whoa.
there
And
it goes.
another question too. You guys chose UE4 for this. Any specific reason? I mean, I know why, but because it's the best. No.
Well, it's true. I mean, when I was at Microsoft, I used other engines a lot in addition to UE3, UE4. So we've used a lot of engines, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. But we really felt that for a game of this size, it's almost all native code. By the way, there's some blueprint. We do a lot of animation blueprints, and we are using sort of the AI blueprint stuff. But for core gameplay, all of our engine changes, using native code was really important to us. We've got a nice setup that lets the developers really compile and test really quickly, and there's really not an engine out there right now that helps us in that way. And it was really the biggest factor. There's a lot of rendering features that we really liked about Unreal 4. When we first started prototyping, we were kind of trying to implement some physically based rendering in UE3 and do all that stuff. And it was a lot of work, and we weren't really getting the results or the performance we wanted, actually. So for us, switching to UE4 was kind of the only choice. And we wanted to, as a team, be on a more modern engine and make sure we were all staying current with technology, you know, and not kind of just trying to ship something quick on older tech. So.
Gotcha. No, that's great. Cool. Let's see. So next steps. I mean, you guys you're in early access now. You talk about spending some time, you know, getting feedback and, you know, implementing changes based on that feedback. But what's the rest of your plan look like?
Yeah, so we're doing that on a daily basis. You know, we've actually got some feedback we patch too much, so we really try to react to game issues.
Too many updates.
Too many features, right? Yeah. But you know, I think it's good. We want people to know that we're listening to them, especially kind of the history of some early access titles has been not so great, and it's important to us to stay involved with the community and make sure that they have what makes the game better for them. Beyond that, you know, we're really wanting to iterate on our end game. Nobody's gotten there yet, so we don't have any feedback yet about that, but we hope to start seeing some of that come forth soon. And the end game and kind of the story and where the game goes is kind of what our team is focusing on over the next few months creatively, while the current game stuff is going to be iterated on heavily with the community and everything that's going on there. And then we're also are going to be opening up mod support soon, and that's really important to our team because we know all the great ideas that are out there would be coming to fruition maybe a lot faster if a lot of the talented developers out there who maybe want to try implementing something in our engine have the resources to do that and the tools to do that. And that's another decision point for us on Unreal 4 was, hey, if we want to make a moddable game, which we are, there's really no other way to go. The tool's already great, people know them, and it's really going to give us what we want to get back from the community. It's the only way to really do it. So
yeah, that's great. And yeah, to follow up on that, yeah, so mod support is coming for ARK.
Yes,
and
we're so excited about mod support.
And so are we. Like, you know, we've mentioned modding is such a, you know, close to our heart thing. Here we have so many developers that have come to Epic from the mod community, whether it be UT or other engines and stuff. So we're really, you know, glad to be able to provide that as a, you know, a really nice feature for other Unreal Engine developer communities or Unreal Engine games built on Unreal Engines that, you know, have communities that would be interested in modding. And this seems like a game that is just, you know, ripe for it. There's so many great things that could be put together. So real quick on that, the ARK team has been working with us here at Epic on, you know, how all that's going to go down, and we'll definitely have some more information on that in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. There's a lot to talk about on that front, but something I'm super excited about myself, and I can't wait to see it come online. All right, let's see, notes. All right, cool. So yeah, one more thing before we hop into the Q&A. I just wondered if you had any tips for other developers out there that are looking into getting into early access for a game.
Yeah, well, for us, I would say the thing that's been the best is really trying to go out with a game that has enough gameplay in there that people can enjoy it from the start. You know, of course, we had our launch issues. We probably didn't have enough servers up. You know, you can host your own server in ARK, and there's over 3,000 player-hosted servers right now, but right at launch we weren't really prepared for the amount of people that wanted to play the game. We didn't have servers ready to go for capacity, and we got those kind of fixed up as quickly as we can. But you know, aside from that, there's a lot of game here, and we really wanted people to feel like they had value for their money and really have a voice. You know, we are so active in the community, and that's another big thing I would say is for us, our game website is just click here to go to our Steam page. And for early access, our Steam forums, that's like our conduit to the community. Our devs are in there all the time talking to people, answering their questions, helping them solve issues. It's so important for early access that people that have bought into your game, I think as developers, we have a responsibility to give them not just the game they asked for, but what we sort of promise, which is like, hey, we want you to develop this game with us. We're here listening to you. We're here talking to you. We're implementing the stuff, testing the stuff you guys are saying to us. We're helping you get the game running. It's not just, here, give us your money and play this game that we're going to be developing and might be broken for the next 6 months, you know, so.
Yeah. No, that's great. You know, it's been, for us, even with Engine, you know, the Unreal Engine wouldn't be where it was if it weren't for the community, right? Like with
Exactly.
with having the source available for people to hop in and actually add features to that are awesome, and even just give us feedback about everything that, basically everything you said, right? How we can actually make the engine better for everybody, and it's come so far in the year that it's been available to
Exactly,
the
and
world,
that's how we feel about the game. How can we make the game better for everybody? And the only way we're going to know that is if people tell us and we
Yeah.
listen to them. So,
Yeah, and it's actually a really cool point too that you said about taking everything to Steam Greenlight. It gives them you're utilizing those tools to give them one place to interact with you, and you one place to interact with them,
right.
without having to turn on all your own systems up front at day one, right? You're leveraging what you've already got really well.
Yeah.
And not a lot of teams do that. It can be sometimes disparate across different channels, but
Right.
that's
And to help with that, it can be kind of daunting, especially for a smaller team, maybe doing early access with, when maybe money's tight and you don't have a lot of finances to skip over some of this stuff. But just like you, Chance, are the community manager, we employ our own community manager for our forums, and it's so important because if you don't have that person that is 100% focused on the community, you won't get messages back to the devs all the time because people are busy. You won't have the one-to-one connection that you really need in early access. And for us going into early access, it was like not even a question. It's like we need a community manager and they need to manage our forums and help us get everything, the back and forth, point of contact. If somebody can't answer for some reason, our community manager is there and providing some support, providing an answer, and interacting with the community. If you don't have that person on your team, you're not putting everything you can into that relationship in an early access title.
No, definitely. Well, awesome. Any other closing thoughts before we hop into Q&A?
None for me so far. I'm curious to see what questions
Cool.
people have.
Yeah, there's actually some good ones in here. Can we
Sure,
do
there's
it?
some good ones.
Yeah, can we do a Chris Pratt and domesticate velociraptors?
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely saw
I'm
some good
actually
writing on
waiting.
that.
I can't wait until somebody reenacts that scene from Jurassic Park. Minus the motorcycle, of course. But.
Yeah. And then there's one in here from an article on DSO Gaming talking about dynamic GI. Which implementation did you choose for this?
So the answer is none. We kind of made our own, but
right on.
we built on the tools that are in Unreal Engine. Just to give you a little bit of overview, it's kind of a local GI system that's built on top of the reflection capture system. So instead of just getting reflections, we store diffuse and specular IBL in the captures. And you guys supported this to some degree, I think maybe in a test form, but we really went in and fully fleshed it out. So we created a parent-child system for these things, and as you probably have seen from the gameplay, we have a full day-night cycle with lots of environments where you've got dense jungle canopy, beach, you've got caves, you've got underwater. So we really needed a way to efficiently light all of these different environments. So we kind of made a system where we can create lighting archetypes and bake a whole day-night cycle into our capture actors, and then those are kind of referenced at runtime. And we actually also tied into the DFAO system, the distance field ambient occlusion. We don't actually use it for ambient occlusion, but what we do use it for is that ambient occlusion data is used as a mask to lerp between our sky IBL and whatever the local IBL is. And so since all of our foliage in our game is fully dynamic, everything can be chopped down. This DFAO data really helps us as whole forests get cleared. It brings in more of the skylight in that area and removes whatever the local IBL archetype is, and opens up the sky essentially, and is really great for us. It's one of our higher performance settings. It's not, we have an option to turn it off for lower level cards, but it really adds a lot of lighting fidelity to the game, especially since we don't really have height field GI or anything like that. And it's one of our cool features that we really like for our dynamic lighting. So, well, other than that, we don't have many point lights, just fires, campfires, things like that. And we tend to use one directional light that's over the whole day-night cycle, and we do. Our sky IBL is kind of universal anywhere there's not local IBL.
Gotcha. A question here about gameplay. If you did use an obelisk to transfer ARKs, would you keep your dinosaurs?
No, so you don't get to keep any of your stuff from the server, and that's
Ooh.
kind of to prevent people from gearing up on one server and just kind of warping to another server and
Oh
raiding
yes.
everything. But the way gameplay works in ARK is it's progressive. You unlock skills and you remember them. So as your character levels up, you'll when you start new on a fresh server, you have no inventory, but you know how to make everything, and you have all of your stats and your all everything you've earned that's like skill bonuses and stuff like that. So it's relatively easy to get back up to speed. Just start from scratch, make a hatchet, start building your houses, stuff like that. It goes a lot faster when you're higher level, have all your stats, and you can easily rebuild any of the things you've learned on another server.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Oh, that makes total sense. Cool. That sounds awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it is really nice.
With the character customization system, any interesting underlying techniques you've used there? Like, how do you make clothes fit a guy with arms the size of Alexander?
Yes,
Just all
this
the way
is
around.
what
Yeah.
this is what I was talking about earlier. You know, really the system is very basic. It's just bone scaling in different
Got it.
proportions. So by doing that, all of the clothing just fits whatever we do, because the clothing is rigged to the same skeleton that the characters are rigged to. So if we scale the forearm or scale the thigh or any of that stuff, both the clothing and the character base mesh scale together.
Gotcha.
Now, that's maybe we'll stick with this through launch. It seems to be pretty fun for people. I can say when I was working on DC Universe Online, there was a very complex system for getting outfits to look right on all different characters all the time, and it's pretty overwhelming and kind of tedious. So we had a lot of tools to deal with it, but it's really stressful to have to worry so much about an item fitting 3 archetypes, or we'd be worried if we went to something more complex, we'd have to like dial back the amount of variety that people could have in order to make what may seem like a higher fidelity system, but it kind of removes some of the functionality that people are having fun with. So we'll be
Right.
weighing that through early access, how much we want to dig into having more fidelity in our system versus kind of just keeping what we have now and kind of making it a little better.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a good balance there too, right? I remember the Coffee Stain guys working on Goat Simulator. A lot of the fun of that game is the bugs and the things that are broken, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of got to know, well, this is actually a game breaker, whereas this is what people want to be doing. So we kind of need to make that balance, right?
Yeah, and about really the only thing that I would say at this point that I would want to do with it after seeing how much fun people are having with the system is just blending in some different normal maps. Like if I make a fat guy, I don't want him to have a six-pack anymore. I want him to have like a fat
Yeah.
stomach. And so
Yeah.
I think that would really add a lot to it, to not just have the model change, but having some of the textures and stuff change accordingly.
Hmm.
No, that's great. Any plans on a Mac release since you're on Steam and UE4, pushes out to Mac as well?
Yeah, I think either today or relatively soon we'll be having an announcement about that with some specific dates. But we do want to get Mac and Linux out as soon as we can for early access so that we can have those things also polished up by release. We're doing a few things on Windows that aren't supported on Mac and Linux, so we have a little work there. A good example is our landscape material. It's using the shared samplers, and there are so many textures in there and so many layers that we're a little worried about, like, okay, well, this is going to take some time to figure out how we represent this on systems where it's not supported. By the way, our base Unreal version is 4.5.1, so we've implemented a lot of stuff from 4.7, 4.8 master, stuff like that as needed. We probably won't ever do a full bump because our code base has changed so much.
Right.
But as you guys develop things that seem really useful to us, we kind of integrate it back into our code base. So that being said, I don't think we have a lot of obstacles for getting out Mac and Linux relatively soon. Even if it's not fully up to par visually with the Windows version right away, we'll get there over time.
Gotcha. No, it sounds great. And yeah, there was a question about goal for optimization. It's probably, I assume you're going to kind of, work on optimization as you find ways to improve it over time based on this early access. But do you kind of have a min spec at this point?
We do have a min spec sort of on our Steam page, and I think a lot of people are expecting our min spec to be 30 FPS, look like the trailer, but just to our general thoughts about optimization are we're making a game that launches in a year. Early access, it seems like a complete game right now, but it's really a ways off until we ship our final game. So the type of things we've been focusing on up until launch are forward thinking rendering techniques and technology. We're really excited about DX12. We're really excited about what we can do with the Unreal Engine when we've opened up the rendering pipeline a little bit for that. We anticipate some pretty good performance boosts on the techniques we're using for DX12. That being said, we are starting to roll out support now for DX10. We actually shipped the game without DX10 support. We got a nice confusing error message for people that our game was uncooked, which was pretty funny. But really, that was people trying to run on DX10 cards, and there was no cooked content for DX10. Like, they didn't even cook the game; they just shipped shooter game, which didn't have time to change the name of the folder.
Shooter game with dinosaurs.
Shooter game demo.
I'm actually pretty sure I've seen shooter game on Greenlight at some point.
Yeah, that's happened at least twice now.
We have a lot more important things to do than change the name of
Right.
DXC.
Oh yeah, that's great. So did you use shooter game as kind of a base as far as your code framework?
Not really. Just because
Okay,
it was
yeah.
convenient to start there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think after 5 days of coding, we probably
It was completely
everything, with whatever was there. It's just you have to pick a template when you start, right? So we was like, well, let's not do none. Let's just do shooter game.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So
those templates are pretty useful. So it's just
yeah, it's there's a lot in there.
keep in mind we're actually porting a lot of the work we had done from UE3 to UE4.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a lot of functionality in UE3. So if anything, we didn't really start from shooter game. We started from whatever we were doing in UE3, and we just kind of like replaced in shooter game as we ported to UE4.
Gotcha. You mentioned DX12, so you're already running on DX11. Did you say you are running on DX12 as well?
Yeah, and we'll have an announcement about that soon. We're really excited about DX12. We're really trying to stay on top of that. We want to be completely ready for DX12 when it ships, so people can instantly get the performance gains and start to take advantage of not just what we're doing, but whatever Epic's planning to do with DX12, and whatever Microsoft's planning to do with DX12. So we really want to be on the as close to the forefront of that as we can, because we want to be one of those games where it's like, hey, if you want to see the latest and greatest, get ARK, because it's going to push your graphics card. If you crank it up to epic settings, it's going to really test your system and give you all of the crazy stuff that maybe you can't get in another game because they haven't implemented DX12 features yet.
Right, and that's definitely something that's on our roadmap, as well. Where we're working to get that in. I don't know what version it's going to actually hit, or when exactly, but
we gotta wait for Microsoft to some stuff.
So we're all working together on that one.
It's all about that teamwork between large companies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean the only reason I know kind of where it's going is because I was at Microsoft and dealing with a lot of that stuff. So we're pretty excited about what's coming.
Great. Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. So am I. Yeah, you've got I've got a question on UI real quick. Are you using UMG for it or?
Partially.
Okay.
Our devs are really experienced with some of the older canvas rendering stuff.
Gotcha.
So we kind of re-implemented that. And that was only for again, our UI is another one of those things where it's like, hey, we just need to get something in there that's functional for gameplay, and let's just make it try to look not overly terrible and get the game out. Again, all the projects I've been on, the UI has been redone like 3 or 4 times, and that is not something we had time for or even cared about for early access. So we figured we get a lot of feedback from the community on what's useful in the UI, what's not, what do you want to turn off. I mean, already we've done a lot of stuff for streamers, like removing stuff from the UI, like server names and things like that, having options to just take stuff off the UI. And if we had put a lot of work into this amazing UI, it would be a lot harder to make those fast changes that people might want in the UI right now. And the way it is right now, it's just really easy. We will open, either or open slate or whatever, just change something, or take our canvas stuff, change it real quick, and we can make a new build. We don't have to worry about all of this art that's around everything, or like getting somebody to make a new icon from scratch for something, and that's really important to us for fast iteration.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, for early access, it's more of a polished item as opposed to a core feature that needs to be balanced, right? So
Yeah.
when you've got to be in that mode of reacting as quickly as you can to, the things the community
We actually have
finds.
some really cool, fun things planned for our UI. Part of the character story is you've got this thing on your arm that's like a holographic projector, and the effect right now is only hinted at because we just draw the UI 2D on top of it. But
Right
we really
on.
want that to be kind of 3D in the world, especially because we have full VR support. A lot of people are actually playing the game
Oh,
right
awesome.
now on Rift, and just from working on HoloLens, anything that's 2D on your face is just not good. So we want to make our UI as in-world as possible. So it makes the 2D game better, and it also makes VR way better when you're not putting 2D HUDs over everybody's eyeballs.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah, I've worked in VR myself. It has its for UI specifically. It has a lot of really interesting challenges. So,
Yeah.
thanks for not just slapping it on there and letting us go. All right, we got a little bit more time for a couple more EU servers.
So we have a few official ones right now.
Okay.
We're probably going to spin up some more. If people can't find servers, I recommend they open the Steam server browser because there's literally thousands of servers there. I know you may not want to play on an unofficial server for some reason, but if you really do, if you can't get into an official server, there's so many other servers that are out there that you could hop into all over. Just search by ping time and just double click in the Steam browser to hop into one of those games and try it out. And if you feel like you're worried that you don't want to buy into one server, just remember that you can always upload your character progress to your profile through an obelisk and take it to another server later. So
Gotcha. All right, we're almost to time. Is there any closing thoughts?
well, I would just say I'm really excited that we've got this kind of support of our gaming community. We really want to dig in more with the Unreal developer community and start sharing some more of our tips and techniques through streams like this. You'll see a lot more of that coming. We're just really flattered and overwhelmed with the response to the game. It's actually beyond our expectations, and we're just so happy that people are having so much fun with it. And I encourage everybody to try it. Give us whatever feedback you think. We're listening, and we really care what people think. And feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I don't know if we have any way to post that, but we've got our own Twitter and my Twitter, and we're eager to answer people's questions and get back to them. So
Gotcha. And I'm going to drop the link to the page on Steam in the chat so people
Thank you.
can interface with you there to give feedback, check out the game, and everything. So grabbing that now. But yeah, y'all have got images. There's a bunch of people that have uploaded their own videos. There's all kinds of greatness up there.
lots of fan art. It's been pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
The
No,
Dodo Rex is my favorite.
Dodo Rex.
Dodo Rex.
You may see the Dodo Rex at some point in the future.
I am gonna keep an eye out for that. All right. So yeah, well, we're at time right now. So just to recap, mod support is coming. I can't wait to share more details about that. So we'll be working with Studio Wildcard to get all the information and the important bits in line, and then we'll be rolling that out to everybody as well. So so keep an eye out for that. And Jesse, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of. Really glad to have you on here. This is really great. I'm gonna go check out the game this weekend for sure.
Awesome.
So go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, no, I was going to say awesome. Like, if you actually do hop in, let me know. I'll hop in with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, yeah.
Find
Yeah.
a good server, do some fun stuff.
Yeah, we'll tame some dinos. I'll tame Alex.
Just get you up on the shoulders. Let's do this. Let's go.
Chicken fights. Anyway, so another real quick news beat. You might have noticed that there was no 4.8 this week. No 4.8 preview, that is. There's also no 4.8 this week. So it's been sad. We miss it. I'm just kidding. It's going to roll out to you guys hopefully early next week. So keep an eye out for that. More info to come and a few more surprises as well rolling out with it. So thanks everybody that's been helping out in the chat. Thank you, Shelly. Thanks, Alexander. We will see you next week.